Tuesday. Both sides must then stop all fighting within 48 hours after that. That's 6 a.m. local time on Thursday. Once a truce has been declared, the next step is for the government and opposition to hold talks to resolve the crisis that has dragged on for more than a year now. Let's get a little more information on this. Let's bring in Jeffrey Laurenti to discuss this impending ceasefire deadline. He is a senior fellow at the Century Foundation on International Affairs and has written several articles on international peace and security. Jeffrey, great to talk to you. Let me try to get at it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being full compliance from Syria, what is the likelihood, in your view, that Syria will meet the terms of the Annan Initiative?
Well, I think that we can be reasonably hopeful of at least an 8 on it by the 10th of April. What we're seeing now is a furious positioning, certainly by the government side, perhaps by the rebels, to get maximum advantage before a ceasefire. But the Syrian government, which has in the past consistently failed to meet its promises of reasonable ceasefire behavior towards a political process, has a new pressure now. This ball has been hit into the court of the UN Security Council in accordance with the Russian and the Chinese demands. So for the Syrian government to be seen as undercutting what is for Moscow and Beijing the last effort to salvage something of the Ba'ath government in a peace process is going to lead to their alienation.
Well, Jeffrey, I got to tell you, that's more optimism than I've heard on this subject in a long time. So you're telling me you believe...
Maybe I take Prozac too much.
Maybe you think what?
Maybe I'm taking Prozac.
Okay. Well, if I'm to believe you, and I'd really love to believe you on this one because the news out of Syria has been so negative for so long, you believe that Syria will actually withdraw the troops and the heavy weapons from all of those populated areas by Tuesday.
Well, I'm saying that they have a powerful incentive that they had better do it. Based on past performance, one would rate the odds exactly the opposite of what I had given you as my answer. Based on past performance, there would be a 20% chance. But I think the fact that the Russians and the Chinese now are deeply invested in this process, and they have been the last protectors of the Syrian government as the international community has turned quite abruptly in the past 3 months to saying it's time for an end to this, and perhaps that means a time for a departure from the scene of the people who've been calling these very brutal shots. Because if they don't seem to fulfill their side of the bargain this week, I would expect the Russians and the Chinese to be hard put not to allow international sanctions to be approved by the Security Council. They blocked that consistently in the past, but this is their peace process. They're invested in it. And Assad had better get with their program.
And you think that Russia and China coming on board with the Annan Plan, that's been the real game changer here, and non-compliance at this point means that the UN will go forward, the Security Council can then approve a set of sanctions?
I would expect that. Now, if you have circumstances in which